When I was 20, me and my girlfriend broke up. I was with her for 4 years. I couldn't sleep. And this is before social media. You couldn't just chase a, like, that was it. She's gone now. Like, she moved. I didn't know where she lived. That was it. And I couldn't sleep. Now, it wasn't like I was crying my eyes out, but I was just, where's my I couldn't sleep.
Need something else to do.
So I thought, gym at 6 a.m., gym at 3 p.m., gym at 8 p.m. I had nothing else to do but fight. So I took all that trauma, all that heartbreak, and I molded it into becoming a world level combatant, right? So there's nothing, what did we talk earlier about how trauma can mold you? How trauma can be a fantastic thing. Heartbreak, depression, sadness, these are all fantastic motivators. I'm telling you why they're a fantastic motivator. You go to a guy who's heartbroken, he has all the motivation in the world to send 300 text messages. He has the motivation, he's putting it in the wrong place.
That's 300 cold emails you could be sending to someone to pitch a business.
That's a lot of money you could have made.
Yeah.
Some people only learn the hard way, especially men. God's actually very nice, because I believe God gives us a whole bunch of chances to learn a lesson the easy way.
It's called life.
Of course, he'll give you, think of the harshest lesson. You don't even have to say what it is, but think of the harshest lesson you've had in the last few years. And think of how many times you had the easy way to learn that lesson. You could have just stopped being a dickhead before it got bad.
Like that.
Think how many times you could have just woke up and go, nah. Yeah. But we don't, do we?
Nope.
We wake up like, we got away with it. It's fine. And then bam, you get hit. There's only two ways to learn lessons, hard and harder. If you're smart, you take it the hard way. Real idiots take it the hardest way.
Yeah.
But there's no easy way to learn lessons. Life's gonna hurt you, and how you use that pain is completely and utterly up to you. You can use that pain to galvanize yourself as a man and become a better man you've ever been. I'm not saying that I'm only successful because of some chick. I'm saying that every single time that I was heartbroken, I never wasted a second. I was never wallowing. That's what I'm saying.
I said this, like, anybody who tries to get revenge on a woman,
way.
that's incel energy. That's a wrong way of looking at it. The only revenge you can get on a woman who breaks your heart is success. Success is the best revenge. Just level up slowly, and when she messages you, you got two choices. You can either say, sorry, baby, you're not my type anymore. Boom, you win.
So that's the answer to the question. Put a plan together for the heartbreak if it comes, and make sure that plan is constructive.
Yeah.
Everything we've been saying on this podcast is true. Trauma's going to come, pain's going to come, and you have to use it in a constructive way. I'm not telling you to tell him to avoid the pain. I'm saying that when it comes, make sure it's used in a constructive way. And still to this day, that's all I would ever do. If something bad happened to me and I got really upset, I would find the most constructive possible outlet. And that's a conscious decision. You have to have the emotional control to make a conscious decision in that direction. I had an unlucky upbringing, or my girl left me, or that it's someone else's fault. If I take responsibility, like Tate tells me, then the idea of absolute exclusivity and absolute loyalty becomes less important to the female because of his other accolades. That's a fact. Every king, every sultan, read the Bible. Every warlord had a bunch of women. Why? Because he was the warlord. The fucking shit muncher didn't, but the warlord did. That's just the way the world's always been.
That distinction, by the way.
There is a distinction.
It's just the top man.
It's just the top. And I'm not saying that all men can do it, but that's also my message. I don't say to all men, have a bunch of girls. I don't say that. I say, you better become the man. All I can tell you is what it's like up here and how I got here. If you're telling me you're adamant on staying down there, then don't cry that you're lonely, because I don't know that life. That they can accept whatever they want. Women are the gatekeepers. It's a free market, and women are the gatekeepers. Women have all the choice. If they want to get a guy who doesn't fuck nothing else, they can go get some other guy. Women have all the options in the world. So if last week I was on my yacht in Croatia, there was me, my brother, and like 30 girls. All the girls were getting messages, why are you there? I want to be here. I want to be on this boat.
I'm not being held hostage.
What's confusing?
Not against my will.
That's their decision to make. How arrogant and narcissistic must you be as a random individual, especially a male, a random, unattractive male with no girlfriend, to message an attractive woman and tell her that what she's doing, she thinks wrong for being with me and my brother on a yacht, and that she should instead want him playing video games at home. What kind of level of delusion are you operating under to even believe that that's a paradigm of reality? I have choices. If a girl says to me, I don't like you, no problem. Thank God, one less WhatsApp conversation. Goodbye, have a nice life. Nice to meet you. Like, it doesn't matter to me, right? So the men who are successful with women are not the dangers. It's the men who are unsuccessful with women who are the dangers. Women want things women think they want things, and then they get them and they leave the dude. Women don't have a clue what they want. I want a guy who's sweet and sensitive and takes care of my needs and thinks about me, blah, blah, blah. They're all out there. None of you are with them. Why? Because women don't want that. Women don't actually want that. Women want to be with a man they respect. Women are only going to enjoy the time with and end up feeling in love with a man they genuinely respect. And unfortunately, to be respected, some of the qualities are detrimental to the overall relationship's, let's say, happiness. I know loads of women who are with a dude they hate, but they respect him. Like, he makes me so mad, but he is the G. And they stay with him, as opposed to the woman who's like, well, he's so nice to me, but you know, and leaves. So women need to respect you as a man. How's a woman gonna respect you as a man if no other girl wants you? How's a woman gonna respect you as a man if you're putting her above all your boys? How's a woman gonna respect you as a man if you're not here in the streets making money? How's a woman gonna respect you as a man if you don't respect yourself or other men don't respect you? Respect is linked to fear. How is a woman gonna respect you as a man if people don't fear you? There's a problem with all these dudes out here. These nerds will make a little bit of money and wonder why their chick still leaves them, because you're just a rich nerd now. You're still a dork. You can still raise your voice and nobody give a shit. I'll still run up on you and take everything you got. Like, you have to be a man worth respecting. And that's extremely difficult to do. And if you're gonna do all those things, it's very, very hard to become a man worth respecting, sitting at home. For the longest period of human time, for a man to be respected, for him to even be admired by society on any level, to some degree, he had to be a warrior. That's what men did, we fought.
Right.
That's what men did, we fought. So if you're out here as a man and you have no battle in your life, no conquest in your life, no form of war in your life, then what you do? And it doesn't have to be physical. Physical is the best example of it. Every woman wants a boxer or a cage fighter. Of course you do. So every woman wants a boxer or a cage fighter, but this is the testament to the problem of the modern world, right?
Right.
Every single man watching this knows that women want fighters. Every single man watching this would love to be able to say he's a fighter, but 99% of the men watching this will not go fight because they are afraid. They're all cowards. They'll make up every male loyalty, masculine loyalty is completely misunderstood. All these dudes out here who are at home with their wife thinking they're loyal, you're not loyal. Loyalty is having options and returning to the same place, not only having one option. They're very different things. If I walk into the store and they only sell apples and I buy an apple, I'm not loyal to apples. I don't have a choice. Loyalty is walking in the store where they sell all the fruit. I buy apples 6 days a week. Occasionally I get a big fat pineapple and I go back to apples the day after. That's loyalty. Without choice, there's no loyalty. So most of these dudes and most women who say, he's loyal, he's lame and he can't get nothing else. That's not loyal. Loyal is a dude who has all those options and still is in love with you. That's what loyalty is. So masculine loyalty is completely misconstrued and misunderstood anyway. The truth is about most of these dudes who talk about being loyal, they couldn't get something else if their life depended on it. Nobody wants it. But the fact that he is sexually exclusive to you means that for some reason, we don't know why yet, there's a human metric in which he does not excel in every form. So you can go out there and, like I said, Toyotas are really reliable, Ferraris are unreliable. You might go out there and get yourself a nice BMW. That's sure. That's fine. I'm not saying he doesn't exist. You can go get yourself a nice BMW.
I don't like BMWs.
Well, that's what you're aiming for.
No.
But when the Ferrari pulls up next door, when I meet your dude, I'm be like, yeah, he's all right, but how much? Less than 100 mil? Nah, come on.
Well,
he's a broke.
I'll prove you wrong. I'll prove you wrong.
And maybe he'll have money, but he'll lack somewhere else. So this is my point: is that the true masculine in the realm of true masculine excellence, one of the benefits of such is sexual exclusivity, because females, you have so many choices. Most men out here have no choice. And the very few men who are at the peak of the human experience of a man have all the choice. And to find a man who has all the choice, which is extremely rare amongst males, like less than 1%, and say, you're gonna be with me and me only, it's hard. It's hard. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? I don't think so at all, because you can look at some very, very wealthy men that are getting destroyed in divorce courts. The richest man in the world just got destroyed. And you can look at guys who are unable to provide security, but they give a girl lots of fun, like the gardener, who's banging the old rich wife. So I think women are just completely and utterly motivated by their emotions. And if you can spike an emotion in them one way or another, then you're gonna be able to affect her in a positive way. I think I've said this time and time again, even if a woman hates you, you're in a better position than if she's apathetic towards you. Women are generally apathetic towards men. They ignore men, they don't answer their messages, they don't care about anything. If you can get any emotion out of a girl, even if it's hate, you're gonna be all right. Men's attention no longer has value. In the 1950s and 60s, if a girl got the attention of a good-looking guy, it meant something. Because how many times can she get the attention of a good-looking guy? She walks down the street, whatever. In the world of Instagram and Facebook and social media, a girl's getting blown up. So what does your attention have? Your attention has no value. So the way you give it value is, one, becoming a higher value man, but another way you have to make sure your attention has value is you don't throw it away. This is what I see all the time. I get message after message from guy in the friend zone. I'm like, what? The friend zone is basically, I'm giving away all my attention. without getting any sex in return. If society respects you, females will respect you by an extension. And there's lots of ways you can do that. Obviously, having money helps with that. Having a good job helps with that. Having a nice apartment, nice car obviously helps with that. Being in good shape helps with that. Being smart, being witty, all these things help. But this is the reality of life as a man, is that you have to build your value. People say to me all the time, oh yeah, Tate, you get girls. I said, I got girls because I became a kickboxing world champion. That's thousands of hours in the gym. I wasn't born with some magic. I'm not Ron Jeremy. I wasn't born with some tool. You know, it's like, I had to do it myself. So you have to build it as a man. This is just the unfortunate reality. If you're not prepared to do any work at all, you're gonna suffer. And this is the reality of life as a man. And on top of that, one of the easiest ways to be a man worthy of respect is to refuse to take disrespect. I see so many guys who let women disrespect them all day long. Agree, women shit test men. And you have to be able to handle that and deal with it in a very, conservative way. Obviously, you can't flip out and be crazy. But I've been on dates with girls where they've just pushed it too far. I've been sitting there and they're like, oh, guys like you think this and blah, 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 just insulting me basically. After about 5 minutes, I was extremely polite. I said, look, I'm sorry. You're an independent woman, so you can pay for your food. I'm uninterested in speaking to you any longer. I'm leaving. And when I left, I've never had a girl chase me so hard. And guys take this crap from girls all the time. I see it all the time. Girls making fun of them, or girls on a date, or a girl talking to other guys while she has a boyfriend. I mean, I know the modern world says that's cool. To me, that's absolute disrespect. You're with me and you love me and you want to text this dude all day, and I'm supposed to sit here and let you? She's testing your caliber as a man. You either stand up and say, get out my house and I never want to see you again, or stop texting that guy. And if you don't stand up as a man, it's only a matter of time for disrespect. My view, and this is why I'm seen as an extremist, is that my view, the only happy relationship that can possibly exist is with a man leading and a man in charge. Any other relationship is always misery. If someone breaks, I'll ask you a question. If you're laying in bed with your girlfriend and someone breaks in the house, who has to go downstairs and risk their life to defend the other? We do. So if I asked you for a cup of coffee at dinner and you want to complain, to me, I'm like, so I have to risk my life if someone breaks in here. Someone tries to rape you on the street, I'm the one who's going to die protecting your honor, but you have a problem making a cup of coffee?
So if you allow her to blatantly disrespect you and you tolerate that, then you're setting a precedent, which means, well, why would I respect this guy in the first place? Yeah. I say this to guys all the time. I've had loads of guys who come to me for like coaching and stuff, and they say, my woman doesn't respect me, da-da-da-da-da. And I say, look, it's much harder to fix something that's broken than just never let it go wrong in the first place. From the second you got together, you should have been a man, and you haven't got to be an asshole. You haven't got to be aggressive. I'll sit with a girl and very politely say, look, if we're going to be in a relationship, if I'm going to take you seriously, you're not going to have male friends. If you want to hang around with a whole bunch of men, then I'm not going to take you seriously. What do you mean you won't take me seriously? I mean, we can I'm never going to look at you as serious material. So the idea, the decision is on you. If you want to be serious, you're not going to talk to those guys. You want to talk to those guys, I'll fuck you sometimes. You decide. And I lay it on them. Now, if they choose to keep all their male friends, then that means she's chosen these friendships over me, which means sooner or later she was going to cheat anyway. Like, how long until she jumps on a new way? So why would I even be upset about it? But most men are too scared to just put the ultimatum down.
More shit has to be done. That's when the amazing things happen in my life. When I was heartbroken, everyone's been heartbroken. I can't remember a specific example. I hit the gym harder, right? If something goes wrong with your payment processor, that's when you get fucking inventive. That's business, right? That's when you get inventive. So all the bad things that happen to you as a man, if you're stoic, you get to take unlimited energy. And it's actually interesting because a lot of men want to brag to women because we want to show status. So you want to sit there and brag about all the good things you do, but there is a downside to that. There is a degree of downside. I was in Moldova. No, I take that back. I was in Constanta, Romania 9 years ago before I moved there. And I was in a club. And I must have been the only foreign person in the club. And there was 11 out of 10 Moldovan. Most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. And I went over and I tried to talk to her and she said, yeah, I only drink champagne. And at the time I didn't have that much money. I said, I only drink champagne. Well, I'm finished drinking for the night, but it's very nice to meet you because I couldn't afford a bottle of champagne. So I had to style it. So I was like, I don't have any, I said, I'm finished drinking for the night, but it's very nice to meet you. What's your name? What's your name? Okay, nice to meet you. Left the club, whatever. Next day I came, I saw her on this table, champagne show, champagne show, champagne show. Next table, champagne show. And while she was doing all this, we were kind of catching each other's eye, looking a little bit, da-da-da. And a couple of times I caught her at lunch. Constanta's like a beach town. I caught her at lunch. I spoke for a little bit. And she kept asking me for champagne. I was like, listen, you are absolutely gorgeous. I think you and I are going to have a long, happy future together. But I'm not going to buy you champagne. Heartbreak is unlimited energy. So is depression. So is rage. So is sadness. All these negative emotions they tell you to collapse behind. It's like, people talk like, Bruce Lee says, be like water. And people see that as be fluid and just go with the flow. I disagree. If you're like water, you're necessary for life. You are scary when you're enraged. You're powerful. You're beautiful when you're calm. You're so many things when you're like water, right? So if I'm enraged, it's like water behind a dam. You just got to put the dam in place. You got to get the turbo, the hydroelectrics, but don't tsunami your life. Put the energy somewhere.
I don't like it. If I don't like something, that's enough. I don't need any more justification than I don't like it. Yep. Right? And I think a lot of guys don't get that. Maybe you can help.
One is that, this is the most important thing, is that women are never single. A woman is never single. The idea of a woman for, like a man, going 6 or 7 months without talking to, dating, fucking an ex, messaging some guy, they are constantly either talking to a guy, sleeping with a guy, even if they're not fucking anyone, they're talking to 5 or 6 guys on Instagram. Yep. Women are never single, which means every single time you get a girl, you're taking her from other guys. She likes you the most, which also means that even if she's with you, when she's around other men, she's still poachable. Would you want your girl being friends with me? No, you wouldn't, because you know what I'm going to do. So this is the first thing. So women are never single. So this is why the idea of her hanging on with a bunch of dudes is not acceptable in the first place. And she's going to come out and go, they're just my friends. You may pretend to think they don't want to sleep with you because you know they do. You may pretend to think that, but they don't view you as a friend. It's the first thing. The second thing, women will come at you and say, why are you jealous? I say, no, I'm not jealous. I'm territorial about things I care about. For the same reason, she goes, well, but don't you trust me? It has nothing to do with trust. Yep. I trust the locks on my Lamborghini, but I wouldn't let people try and break in. I'd say, get the fuck away from my car.
Right.
It's not yours. So for the same reason, even though I trust the security system on my car, and I trust, even though I don't trust her, I'll say I do, I trust your internal security system, I'm not going to let people be disrespectful to me as a man and openly try and poach something that's mine. Right. That's disrespectful.
I'll message you. We'll be sitting in the same room, WhatsApp. It's just people. Loose lips sink ships. Doesn't matter if you're doing nothing wrong. You gotta be careful who you're talking around. They listening to shit. And in the modern world, they record shit. Like, you don't want to, even if it's a 0.1% chance, but what's the upside? Like, there's no upside. So why take the 1% chance? Risk reward. You know, I'm very, very careful. And especially with women, not because they're necessarily malicious, because women in general don't have to worry about the certain things I'm talking about in terms of professionalism. There's a whole bunch of beautiful, smart, great women out there who just go through life and they're just Instagramming everywhere they go and they forgot their keys and do. And if she's too close to your circle, it's just an in. It's an in to get you. And you gotta be careful. And it's amazing whether it's the 1970s Soviet spies or the 2022 mafia. When they want to get a dude, it's a chick. You either send a new chick or you watch his old chick or you find his girlfriend. Even a bounty hunter today. Let's say I was wanted by the police. They couldn't find me. Who's his girl? And the women I associate with have enough respect for me to go, okay, I don't know. Fine. Just, I love you, love you. When they arrested El Chapo's girl, didn't you say I didn't know he was a criminal? I thought he was a chef or some shit. I was like, perfect. She doesn't even know I lie anymore. He's a chef. He told me he's a chef. He's a chef.
He's a billionaire chef.
He's a chef. What did happen though, like I said earlier, is when you have experience with lots of different apples, you know what a good one and a bad one is. So when we say we all had that girl we messed up when we were young, if I found another girl with those qualities, I certainly wouldn't mess it up. You need experience to understand what you have to value it. If you don't have experience, you don't value what you have. So the original question is a really good one of whether men are chained and enslaved by their desires or whether they need to sleep with lots of women. I think in the modern world, you need experience and you need choices and you need options. But if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you're going to be the guy who's also out there in the club and sleeping with lots of girls, talking to lots of girls, there's going to be times you lose a girl that you don't want to lose. You can't be a coward about it. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. There's up and down. There's rain and sunshine. You have to be that man who's going to go through it all. And then when you've been through enough of it, like I have, like I said, if I find a beautiful girl now who's a 10 and deletes and doesn't want Instagram, that's worth more to me than 1,000 stupid girls. Respect. Yeah. Well, emotions are feedback. The idea that men don't feel emotions is incorrect. We feel emotions. I would actually argue we feel emotions with certain emotions stronger than women. I would argue that we feel heartbreak stronger than women. I would argue we feel anger like a woman could never understand. I would argue we are extremely emotional. Rage, pure rage. Well, it's feedback. So when you get the feedback, it's all about how you internalize it and how you process it, right? It's having, stoicism's not feeling emotions. It's feeling the emotion and going, okay, why is this happening? How much does this really matter? What's the most intelligent move on the chessboard? All of this is my fault. But the Bugatti on my drive is my fault. And the yacht is my fault. The private jet's my fault. So it's all my fault. So I take the good with the bad. I take all responsibility for absolutely everything, including if a woman leaves me, if a woman stays, if I end up heartbroken, if I end up filled with rage, I take responsibility for that. If something happens to me that makes me enraged, I will take responsibility. Why has this happened to me? Why do I feel this way? How did I end up in this position? Is this healthy in this scenario? And sometimes it is. If you lose, no matter how well you play, if you lose, at some point you made a mistake. Even if it's the most minor mistake, you made a mistake. So you learn to understand that no matter what happens to you, if you lose a scenario, you made a mistake. I've had scenarios in my life where I was prepared to die to protect somebody else, and I was enraged, and it was healthy. I've also had times where I'm in a room by myself, enraged, sitting there going, this is no good for anybody. I need to just calm the fuck down. So emotions are feedback, but stoicism is the ability to process them. And that's what you need to be learn as a man. You're never going to be able to turn them off. You're going to feel them. You have to learn how to process them and turn them into a positive. It's energy. It's unlimited energy. I say this all the time. I say that the biggest periods of transformation in my life is when everything was going wrong. When my life was going good, when life's smooth, then it's semi-hedonistic, pretty relaxed. But when I make my biggest progress, when I really change who I am and change the world, that's when everything's fucked. When things go wrong, or I'm feeling things I don't want to feel, or bad things are happening, that's when I'm like, okay, I currently cannot sleep. I've completed the day's tasks. I've tried to go to bed. I can't sleep. People message me all the time like, oh, but Tate, you don't know how sad I feel. No, it's incorrect. I know exactly how sad. Difference is I used it. And you're sitting here still crying, some random guy on email for the fucking third month in a row. That's the difference between you and me, my friend. I was becoming a world champion kickboxer. And she kept asking me for champagne. I was like, listen, you are absolutely gorgeous. I think you and I are going to have a long, happy future together. But I'm not going to buy you champagne. I'll tell you why later. I'll put mystery on it. So I can't tell you broke, right? You got a mystery spin. So I'm going to tell you why I don't buy champagne later. It's a long and interesting story. Once I can trust you, I'm going to tell you why I won't buy you champagne. You can trust me now. I will tell you. Not yet. To style it off. Anyway, as we got to know each other across the summer, eventually when we became friends, she came clean. She works for the club. She gets commission on champagne. Of course. The girls in the club, you're buying champagne for the thing. She gets a commission per bottle. What was interesting is this. She had on her phone a system. So she'd meet you, you'd buy her drinks the first night. You'd go a separate date the second night, you'd buy her drinks. Third day, she'd send a pre-decide already in her notes how you live far away and she can't fall in love again. She's only been with one man her whole life. She falls in love with you. She's going to have her heart broken and she's scared. And then she'll ghost you for 3 days. Then eventually after begging, you'll get her back, but she wants to come, but not on her own because she's scared. She wants to bring 3 friends and she'll go to this restaurant. She wants to drink this champagne. Boom, boom. A commission. And she'll show me in her Facebook message, every dude, playbook, every fucking guy. I don't know if that was deliberately driven by heartbreak. I think I was just younger and I had less serious motivations. And I wasn't as famous and I wasn't as rich and I was less interested in. So it's not just my current situation that makes me say this. I would say this to any man. If your woman wouldn't wait for you if you went to jail for 5 years, why are you with her? Why? If she wouldn't wait, I know she's hot, I know she's funny, I know she makes you laugh. But if you can't sit in that jail cell with 100% certainty that she's not out with her friends, them in her ear, talking shit, watching Sex and the City, whatever it is, and her ending up with some other guy, why are you even buying her dinner? For what, sex? Like, that loyalty to me is the only thing left that's valuable. When me and Tristan were in jail, we were sitting there saying, we have it so much better than most guys. Because most guys in jail, imagine you're a normal person, you go to jail. Who's feeding your family? Who's paying the rent? Who's feeding your kids? I said, Tristan, we're in jail and we're suffering, but everybody we love is good. I'm a man, I'm supposed to suffer. I'll sit here with the cockroaches. If that means all my kids eat, everyone I care about eats, my mother's fed, my mother has a house, roof over her head, everybody has everything they want. Only person suffering is me. I'll take that all day. Most men who go to jail can't say that. Another thing that gave me absolute peace of mind is the women who love me are waiting for me. Imagine you go to jail and you're completely heads over heels in love with a woman, but you know deep in your heart that she's out in the club and she's stealable. We talk about thoughts you can't get out of your head in jail. If you had the nagging thought in your head, I loved her, she cheated on me before, maybe she cheated again, she hasn't written me in 3 days, and then plus jail. That's why they're all crying. That's why all the men in there were sobbing. Their wives are either fucking someone else or the bills ain't paid. It's not just his situation, it's everything else. So now if you're gonna say to me, what do I respect in a woman? I respect a woman who's gonna wait for me. I have no interest in a woman, oh, she's funny, she's cool, she's hot. Don't care. Don't care. Is she going to wait for me? And I also know, because of my experience, which ones would and which ones wouldn't. I'm not stupid. Because they'll all say they would. They'll all say they'll wait, because they're on the jet. But I know which ones are lying. Because enough women have lied to me. I've seen it. So you do need that experience, but once you have the experience, you start looking for completely other things.
And there's two choices. I either care about you and I'm territorial, or I don't care about you and I'm not.
Exactly.
You can make the choice. If you really want to hang on those dudes, I'm not even saying we can't talk. I'm not saying that, no problem. But don't expect me to give a fuck about you in the way I could give a fuck about you. And when you tell women, this is one of the key things, when you tell women, I will care about you less if you act X way, it's very hard for them to act that way because they want you to care.
Right.
They want that emotional energy from you. You're like, you're making a choice that's going to end in a detriment to how much I give a fuck about you. And if they make that choice, you have to act accordingly. If she makes that choice and you keep acting like you love her, then she ain't gonna feel it. She has to feel it. You know, this is the second thing about the whole thing that's really crazy. This whole male friends thing. Third thing, it's never been normal. This is some new think bullshit. In the 1960s and 70s, it's never been normal. And I always say to girls, I say, does your mother hang around with a bunch of guys? She's like, what do you mean? Well, your mother's with your dad most of the time. Yeah. Is your mom's with your dad? What would your dad say if your mom went out partying with a bunch of men?
Right.
I say that, and they actually go, yo, no. They actually, the idea of their mother doing that actually offends them. They're
Right.
like, no, like that's not. So why the fuck are you doing it?
First things first is that going through a breakup sucks. And every single man out here, no matter what they say, understands how bad it is to go through a breakup and understands what heartbreak's like. It's difficult, it's not easy. I'd actually like to argue that men feel more heartbroken than women. I think that's
facts.
I think it's true. And I think it's because one of the possessive element that we have, the idea of her being with someone else hurts more than the idea of you being with someone else to her. And secondly, because you have a lot less options than she has instantly. So I think that breakups are worse for men than they are for women. And I understand how difficult and hard they can be. However, unfortunately, the unfortunate reality is that chasing her and being dedicated to her and saying you're going to do whatever she wants, etc., is very unlikely to work. It's very unlikely to work, and you have to look at the scenario you're in, look at the chessboard, and make the best possible move. When you're heartbroken, when you're truly heartbroken, you can't even sleep, and your mind is constantly preoccupied. And instead of seeing that as a negative, what you need to do is use that as a source of unlimited power. If I was truly heartbroken today, let's imagine, and I could barely sleep, I'd be in better shape than I've ever been. I'd train like a fucking animal. You have to just take the energy inside of you. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted, whether it's heat into light or the momentum into friction or however you want to put it, right? Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another. And you have to look at that and understand that the sadness inside of you is energy. You can't destroy it, but you can convert it into something else which is constructive. And you're just gonna have to suck it up, buttercup, and get over it. Damn. And there's no other way to do it. And obviously having an abundance of women makes that easier, but I wouldn't even put it that way. I'd say if you were with a woman and you lost her and you're now lonely and she's gonna be moving on and you're absolutely not heartbroken and you're destroyed inside, I understand how difficult that is, but now you have genuine sadness inside of you, which is unlimited motivation for you to become a fucking beast, become an animal. And by the time you're finished becoming an animal, you won't care anymore. So if you really want to cure yourself, you can just say, I'm going to get a six-pack and I'm going to get bigger arms. And by the time my arms are this size and I have a six-pack, then I'm going to think about that bitch. And you'll realize you don't give a shit about her anymore. That's just the way the world works.
You are failing yourself and God. That's why she left you, Aiden. That's why she left you.
Why? Because I failed God? I'm
correct.
God.
You're failing God. If you were the best version of yourself and you were waking up every day trying your absolute best to be a unique and special individual, then you would not be failing God any longer and he would not plague you with this bad luck. Now you're sitting here upset over some bitch who has replaced you, and you deserve it.
So what do I do, Andrew?
I've told you what to do. I've told you what to do since we've ever started fucking talking. I told you to become a man of substance. It's actually very interesting, the masculine experience, because I like to believe that most men on the planet have lived a semi-similar timeline. All of us, as men, experience a very similar human paradigm, and that is that most men are born and you're not important, and then you go to school and you fall in love with some girl in school and she fucks someone else, and then you realize that all the 19-year-olds you want when you're 19 are with older dudes because they have cars or whatever, and you go through this experience of getting your heart broken and losing your girlfriend, etc., and many men latch on to some average bitch or accept they're gonna have their heart broken forever, but some men decide to become so big and important and strong and irreplaceable that they never have to suffer heartbreak again. Because every man deals with heartbreak and deals with sadness, but how you use that energy is the differentiator between humans, right? You are feeling the same pain that many men have felt. Every man out there has had his heart broken and understands how difficult it is as a man. But the difference between me and you, and perhaps some of the other men out there, is that certain men take that anguish and take that sadness and understand that energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be converted, and use it to build themselves into a man of absolute standing and power, as opposed to sitting around jerking off like you just told me you do. You are a waste. You are wasting your energy. Heartbreak is unlimited motivation. If I was heartbroken, it's been a very long time, but if I was heartbroken, I'd be in the gym every morning. I'd be a beast. I'd be running. I'd be working. I couldn't sleep. I'd be an absolute animal, and you're heartbroken, and what are you doing? Jerking off like a fucking dumbass. The difference is, as a man, you must build yourself into a man of credibility, which means to build yourself into a man of standing, we all start in a fairly similar position. I became me through tedious, arduous, difficult, never-ending work. You are wasting your time. You know why God made your girl leave you? Because he wanted to show you that you ain't shit. He wanted to show you that you are human and you're fallible and that you're very replaceable. So he decided to make you fall in love with a girl, and he decided to make her leave you to show you that you are a dickhead. Now it is your job to look at the board, understand what's happened, say, I understand, God, I deserve that. I'm glad she left me and I'm sad because I am a dickhead, and do something about it. Because if you refuse, if you ignore God's message, next time you fall in love with a bitch, guess what he's going to do? He's going to make her leave you to remind you once again that you are a dickhead. Every single man out here, if you're upset that your girl's leaving you, God is reminding you that you aren't worth shit. You need to get up and work so hard that even in the eyes of God, he is proud of you. God loves his creations, which show him their true potential and beauty. By getting up and trying your absolute best and becoming a man of moral standing, he will reward you and bless you. If you continue to be a dickhead, God will remind you you're a dickhead. So God just broke your heart on purpose to show you that the way you're living your life and the man you are simply are not good enough. What have you changed since? Nothing. Fucking nothing. You think God's going to forgive you for no reason? You think God's going to go, it's fine. He hasn't learned his lesson. He hasn't changed. He isn't even trying very hard. He's not up early in the gym. He ain't doing nothing. It's fine. Let's just let him fall in love, and let's make sure the girl doesn't fuck someone else on OnlyFans this time. No, sir! This is going to repeat endlessly. It's a cycle that will not fucking change until you take the message from God and become the man you're supposed to be. You must stop being a dickhead. You deserve what's happened to you. You deserve how you feel. All of it.
When I was 20, me and my girlfriend broke up. I was with her for 4 years. I couldn't sleep. And this is before social media. You couldn't just chase a bitch. Like, that was it. She's gone now. Like, she moved. I didn't know where she lived. That was it. And I couldn't sleep. Now, it wasn't like I was crying my eyes out, but I was just, where's my hoe at? I couldn't sleep.
Need something else to do.
So I thought, fuck, I'll hit the gym at 6 a.m. I'll hit the gym at 3 p.m. Gym at 8 p.m. I had nothing else to do but fight. So I took all that trauma, all that heartbreak, and I molded it into becoming a world level combatant, right? What did we talk earlier about how trauma can mold you? How trauma can be a fantastic thing. Heartbreak, depression, sadness, these are all fantastic motivators. I'm telling you why they're a fantastic motivator. You go to a guy who's heartbroken, he has all the motivation in the world to send 300 text messages. He has the motivation, he's putting it in the wrong place.
That's 300 cold emails you could be sending to someone to pitch a business.
That's a lot of money you could have made.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, some of the greatest accomplishments in my life have come after a heartbreak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that fuck, I call it fuck you energy. Take that and you're like, because some guys will get butthurt about that and they'll sit there and they'll wallow in self-pity. I've always thought the correct application of that energy is, okay, prove that she made a shitty mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Go out and become a fucking millionaire. Go out and become a kickboxer. Go out and become a porn star or whatever. And then she's going to look around when she's 50 pounds heavier in a year's time. You're like, motherfucker, I left him I let him go.
Yeah.
You can, and internally,
be happy.
My ego could be like,
yeah,
I got you.
Life's gonna hurt you, and how you use that pain is completely and utterly up to you. You can use that pain to galvanize yourself as a man and become a better man you've ever been. I'm not saying that I'm only successful because of some chick. I'm saying that every single time that I was heartbroken, I never wasted a second. I was never wallowed.
Especially as a young man. We talked about this on the show. You're going to get your heart broken as a young man. I've had it happen to me. Yeah. We've all had it happen to us. And it's not even about anger towards a girl. Me and Tristan talked about this on the podcast that we did together, Gentleman Game. It's 7 years later, because as a man, you're going to get your value later.
Yes.
Right. So if you use that energy to put all that work in, these girls, they come back around, and I love to see them come back. Not because I'm in love again, just because it's like, I told you so.
Yeah. No, I said this, like anybody who tries to get revenge on a woman,
way.
that's incel energy. That's a wrong way of looking at it. The only revenge you can get on a woman who breaks your heart is success. Success is the best revenge. Just level up slowly. And when she messages you, you got two choices. You can either say, sorry, baby, you're not my type anymore. Boom, you win.
So that's the answer to the question. Put a plan together for the heartbreak if it comes, and make sure that plan is constructive. Everything we've been saying on this podcast is true. Trauma's going to come, pain's going to come, and you have to use it in a constructive way. Still to this day, that's all I would ever do. If something bad happened to me and I got really upset, I would find the most constructive possible outlet. And that's a conscious decision. You have to have the emotional control to make a conscious decision in that direction.
Women fuck men they respect. That's it. They don't fuck men they like. They don't fuck men they love. They fuck men they respect. If she loves you and likes you and doesn't respect you, she will not have sex with you. I have women who respect me and fucking hate me, but they're here every time I call. So if they respect you, they're going to sleep with you. And this is something that's biological and evolutionary. They fuck men they respect. So how do you make women respect you? Well, first you have to be worthy of respect as an individual. There's no hack. If you're worthy of respect, you're worthy of respect. But secondly, you cannot allow blatant disrespect. So if you allow her to blatantly disrespect you and you tolerate that, then you're setting a precedent, which means, well, why would I respect this guy in the first place? Yeah. I say this to guys all the time. I've had loads of guys who come to me for like coaching and stuff, and they say, my woman doesn't respect me, da-da-da-da-da. And I say, look, it's much harder to fix something that's broken than just never let it go wrong in the first place. Right. From the second you got together, you should have been a man, and you haven't got to be an asshole, you haven't got to be aggressive. I'll sit with a girl and very politely say, look, if we're going to be in a relationship, if I'm going to take you seriously, you're not going to have male friends. If you want to hang around with a whole bunch of men, then I'm not going to take you seriously. What do you mean you won't take me seriously? I mean we can fuck, but I'm never going to look at you as serious material. So the idea, the decision is on you. If you want to be serious, you're not going to talk to those guys. You want to talk to those guys, I'll fuck you sometimes. You decide. And I lay it on them. Now, if they choose to keep all their male friends, then that means she's chosen these friendships over me, which means sooner or later she was going to cheat anyway. Like, how long until she jumps on a new dick anyway? So why would I even be upset about it? But most men are too scared to just put the ultimatum down. And you haven't got to put the ultimatum down in some scary, big, brash way. Just be clear. Look, any woman I'm with who I take seriously doesn't hang around with other men. So it's your choice. And this is the point. But most men don't say anything. They let it slide and they let it get completely broken. And they come to me and say, well, how do I fix it? It's like, well, you have to make it not let it get broken in the first place. You need to understand your boundaries and expectations as a man. And you have to set them. And you have to make sure she complies and sticks to them. And if she doesn't, you're going to have to find somebody else. If you're stuck with one option, the one chick you met, then she might be a dickhead. Some women are just dickheads. The key is this as a man. And this is the bottom line. Most men are not prepared to walk away. And if you're not prepared to walk away, you don't have any weapons. Exactly. If she knows no matter what, you won't leave, then what weapons do you have? Anything you say, shouting, screaming, yelling, going out away for a few days, whatever. She knows you're going to come back. You have no weapons. The second, imagine a girl came to you and she said, no matter what you do, no matter how many times you cheat, no matter what, I will never leave. Right. Think of all the shit you do. I know I do. Yeah. So this is the point. So as a man, if you're never prepared to walk away, you're never going to be respected. Respect and the woman thinking, you know what, he might just leave, are linked. They have to be there. So you have to mean what you say. You have to let her know, look, there's some things I won't tolerate, and if you fuck with me, I'm going to walk away. And if you walk away and she doesn't chase you, then she's gone. But at least you saved yourself a fucking nasty divorce and getting cheated on and all that shit. Just end it then and there and save yourself a bunch of time. But men are too afraid to pull the plug on it because they get addicted to the pussy and they don't believe they can get any more pussy and they get all messed up. You have to be prepared to walk away as a man. So you have to look at any relationship you're in and say, okay, I'm a nice guy, I love her, she loves me, but I have boundaries, and if she fucks with them, I'm going to have to walk away. That's the truth. Otherwise, you're never going to be respected. I've been head over heels in love with women and left them and never got them back, and they never knew.
Yep.
That's life. That's how it goes. I've been head over heels in love with women. I didn't want to lose them, and they weren't listening, so I walked away, and they didn't chase me, and I lost them, but that's it. My honor's intact, my pride's intact, and now I don't give a fuck anymore because time's a healer. That's life. So it's better than staying in a relationship which I'm not happy in because she starts acting like a fucking fool. And it's kind of like, I use chess analogies a lot, but it's kind of like chess. If you're playing a game of chess and you're in a losing position, and the only hope you have of winning is a big sacrifice, you give up your queen, and you don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's the only hope. You're better off making the sacrifice even if you lose, because if you don't, you're just going to slowly get ground down and definitely lose in the end. Right. Like, do you love that pussy so much you'd rather delay the breakup by 7 months and lose without any pride or honor? Yeah. And leave without any pride or honor while she cheats on you? Isn't it better just to say right hand in the air, you're not talking to that guy anymore? The end is coming. If she chooses to talk to that dude over you, the end is certain. So can you have enough balls to just say bye and at least leave with your head held high? But this is another thing, man. It's crazy. These men have never been through any kind of emotional trauma. So the idea of breaking up with a woman is big to them. I've been through, when you've been through real shit, a breakup just doesn't become that real anymore. You know, I've had people try to kill me. I have stab wounds. Tell me again about this girl who doesn't text you back. Like, who gives a shit? There's people in Syria getting bombed. Yeah. You know, like, you have to get some perspective and just realize you're being, like, there's real trauma out here in the world. Terrible things happen day after day. And here you are, alive and breathing and perfectly healthy. And you're going to cry over some bitch? Just man up.
I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's all of the challenges and struggles that's going to make them, it's either going to make or break them. I don't read studies very often, but I was sent a study about stress from somebody. It's probably the best study I ever read. And it's talked about the placebo effect of stress. And it said that they took some of the most stressed people in the world, CEOs, etc. And the ones who believed that stress was really bad for them were dying earlier because of the cortisol inside of their blood. And they said stress would be bad for them, they were having heart attacks. But the ones who believed that stress was good for them and it made them perform, I perform under pressure, stress is good for me, they were living longer. So the same drug inside of their blood, how they framed it inside of their mind had different effects on their body. So from that point onwards, even though I already thought this way, I knew I was the right way. I knew it was the right way to think innately because I've done pretty good in life that way. But this confirmed it. Every time I feel stressed or under pressure, I get excited. I hate to not be stressed. I wake up and I'm like, everything's fucked. Good. Yes. Like, that's just how I am, right? But it's how you adopt, it's how you look at the problems and how you use them to fuel you. So the question was, what's the problem for the average man today? What's the biggest problem? I think there's a whole host of problems. But what you have to do is frame it inside of your mind and understand that all of those problems are going to allow you, give you the fuel, the unlimited motivation that you need to become a successful and beautiful individual if you frame it in the right way. If you take a man and give him a life shielded from problems and he never has any to face, I guarantee you he's terrible at being a man. The best men in the world have gone through shit. That's why women love scars, because it didn't kill you. That's the whole point of it, right? So the best thing you can do as a man is look and go, okay, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. I feel negative because these are all so difficult. I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Let me internalize all of that and turn it into a superpower. Let me become genuinely uncomfortable with my situation in life and go and fix things. Because, like I said, the universe is absolutely and utterly very giving. And if you truly hated being in the position you were in, you wouldn't be there very long. So I think that the number one problem with the world today and the biggest problem that men face isn't the problems themselves. It's just the way that they've been taught to mentally frame issues. People think when bad things happen to them that somehow they're a victim to the universe and bad things only happen to me and this is so terrible. They don't understand that bad things happen to everybody, and the most successful person you know had all those, probably maybe even worse, at least the same bad things happened to them. They just framed it differently and used it. That's the difference. So I don't pray for an easy life. I pray for a life of difficulty that allows me to become a better and better person. I pray to become more competent to handle problems. I pray to put myself in a position where if the mass media machine attempts its very best to destroy my life, I can laugh and smile from my villa in Dubai. This is who I pray to become. I don't pray that nobody hurts me. I pray to be able to fight. So it's just a different mentality.
Where did that mentality come from? I know your background story. Listened to tons of your interviews. I know the big impact, especially your father, had on your life. Was there a single, or were there a handful of pivotal moments for you where your mindset just shifted? I know you've talked before about being young and seeing people driving by in flashy cars and it annoying you and not annoying the people around you. But I'm really curious to know where the Tate mindset came from.
It's a good question. I think a lot of people build their mindsets around trying to feel good. So that's why we were talking earlier about people who want to ignore the idea of personal responsibility or self-accountability because they feel better if they pretend it's not a real thing. They feel better if they pretend everything's someone else's fault. A lot of people's mental model and how they view the world is based around them feeling as good as possible. So when you sit there and talk to somebody who has the mask on and they refuse to believe the elites are laughing at them, it's not because they can't comprehend the ideas, it's because they feel better if they don't believe that they are a clown to the elites. I feel better if this is really all innocent and it's really all about a disease. So people are basing their mindsets around trying to feel good. I have always tried to base my mindset around absolute competence regardless of how I feel. And there are certainly disadvantages to that. There are times you're going to be a lot more pessimistic, or you're going to be a lot more stressed, or a lot more, pissed off about certain things than others. Yeah, that can be seen as a downside. But like I said, I use all of those things for unlimited motivation to propel my endless upward trajectory. But if you construct a mindset that allows you to be as competent as possible, as opposed to feel any different or feel better, then you're going to naturally come to the conclusions I've come to. You're as competent as possible if you believe you can affect absolutely everything about your life. You're as competent as possible if you believe absolutely everything that's happened to you, whether good or bad, is completely your fault. You're as competent as possible if you believe the bad things that happen to you are going to allow you to work harder and become even better. When bad things happen to me, the first thing out of my mouth is good. Good. Andrew, they took $10 million out of the bank because they canceled you. Good. Good. That's just my response. Good. Andrew, this happened. Good. Good. Now I'm really pissed. Good. This mindset I've constructed allows me to be as fearsome a competitor as possible. It allows me to be a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor, and that's the point of a mindset. Why would you have a mental model or a mentality that made you anything less? In the ultra competitive world that we've just discussing that everybody wants the things you have, why would you absorb information or construct a mental model that doesn't allow you to be as competitive as possible? I am a feared competitor in anything I do. Anyone who's up against me at anything is going to feel a degree of nervousness just because it's me. It doesn't matter what it is. If you say, look, you're going to go learn how to play piano and you're going to play against someone else who's never played piano and you're going to learn, and that guy's Andrew Tate, you're going to be like, oh, for fuck's sake. I can't even play piano. But part of them is going to be like, oh, not Tate. Even though I have no piano experience, because they just know me. They know my mindset. They know my determination. They know I'm stubborn. They know I don't quit. They know I'm going to win. That's just who I am. So I've constructed a mental model that allows me to be competent and to always succeed. And that's how I've come to the conclusions I've come to. And I truly, once again, don't understand how people go through the world with any other mental model. I get asked all the time, but what do you feel? Or what about happiness or depression? That doesn't even... How I feel doesn't cross my mind. I don't know how else to explain it. There are days where I'm pissed off or sad or happy. It doesn't cross my mind. It's just like I woke up, whatever mood I happen to be in, I have things I need to do. It's a busy day. Zuby's here soon. I need to go training before he gets here. I had a meeting with the bank at 7:15 a.m. I have shit to do. Like, I didn't cross my mind about I was happy, sad, excited. I just had to work. So I think my mental model, to a degree, I'm certainly not a person who doesn't feel emotions, because we're all human. I certainly do. But I've never prioritized them in any regard. I haven't built a mental model that affects... I haven't put them in the middle of my mental model and then affected my actions based on how I feel for each one. It's absolutely and completely the opposite. I would love to do a podcast on a day where I'm particularly sad and a podcast on a day where I'm particularly happy. And I guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. So that's what allows me to be competitive, right? Because if you're competitive, if you want to be the most competitive predator on the planet, you have to be able to hunt in the day and the night. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to perform when you're happy and sad. You can't only be able to perform when you're happy. You can't only go to the gym when you're motivated. You can't only be a competent person when your life's going well, because when your life's not going well, you're no longer competent. Then you're going to lose to people like me. And it's player versus player. If you're the kind of person who can only do well when you're happy and you're competing against someone like me who can do well all the fucking time, guess what? You lose. So my mental model, the answer is most of my opinions are just based around constructing a mental model that allows me to be brutally competitive. It's why I say depression isn't real. I've argued this point endlessly, and I try and explain to people, but they're not smart enough to understand that I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't care. I am more competitive as an individual if I don't believe I can become depressed. So I don't give a fuck if I'm right or wrong, because no matter what bad happens to me in my life, even if, heaven forbid, the worst things on earth that could happen to me, I could never become clinically depressed, because I would never self-diagnose myself as clinically depressed, because I don't believe in it. I believe that I am currently sad, but I have work to do, and eventually I will feel better. I will never get to a point of absolute desperation and kill myself, because I'm never going to get to a point of hopelessness, because I don't believe in the idea of hopelessness. You cannot try and make me adopt thinking that will reduce my competitiveness as an individual. So I don't give a fuck if I'm wrong. I don't believe in it. That's it. End of story. So I don't believe in things that take power away from me. I don't believe in things that make me less competitive, and I don't adopt mental models that make me less competitive. Every single mental model I have are the most efficient ones I could find. They're the mental model I found that if I adopt, I become a more fearsome predator. That's it. So this is how I've come to all of my conclusions as an individual. I don't know how I'd function in society. I think that life is very, very hard for a man. It was certainly very, very hard for me. I can't imagine having no mental resilience. I can't imagine being that fragile. I can't imagine being that offendable. I can't imagine believing there are systems which are going to oppress me and prevent me from ever becoming everything I want to be. I can't imagine being that way. If I were to try and absorb all those mentalities and then live a normal life, I don't think I could do it. There's a reason why these people end up on ADHD, anxiety, depression, and I get it, because it's just suicide. It's literally mental suicide.
He goes, "Hey, can you please explain exactly how to get over a breakup? I just went through a major breakup, and you have never explicitly spoken about the topic."
Sure, I'll talk about it. First things first is that going through a breakup sucks. And every single man out here, no matter what they say, understands how bad it is to go through a breakup and understands what heartbreak's like. It's difficult. It's not easy. I'd actually like to argue that men feel more heartbroken than women. I think that's facts. I think it's true. And I think it's because one of the possessive element that we have, the idea of her being with someone else hurts more than the idea of you being with someone else to her. And secondly, because you have a lot less options than she has instantly. So I think that breakups are worse for men than they are for women. And I understand how difficult and hard they can be. However, the unfortunate reality is that chasing her and being dedicated to her and saying you're going to do whatever she wants, etc., is very unlikely to work. It's very unlikely to work, and you have to look at the scenario you're in, look at the chessboard, and make the best possible move. When you're heartbroken, when you're truly heartbroken, you can't even sleep. And your mind is constantly preoccupied. And instead of seeing that as a negative, what you need to do is use that as a source of unlimited power. If I was truly heartbroken today, let's imagine, and I could barely sleep, I'd be in better shape than I've ever been. I'd train like a fucking animal. You have to just take the energy inside of you. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted, whether it's heat into light or momentum into friction or however you want to put it, right? Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another. And you have to look at that and understand that the sadness inside of you is energy. You can't destroy it, but you can convert it into something else which is constructive. And you just have to suck it up, buttercup, and get over it. Yeah. And there's no other way to do it. And obviously having an abundance of women makes that easier. But I wouldn't even put it that way. I'd say if you were with a woman and you lost her and you're now lonely and she's going to be moving on and you're absolutely not heartbroken and you're destroyed inside, I understand how difficult that is. But now you have genuine sadness inside of you, which is unlimited motivation for you to become a fucking beast, become an animal. And by the time you're finished becoming an animal, you won't care anymore. So if you really want to cure yourself, you just say, I'm going to get a six-pack and I'm going to get bigger arms. And by the time my arms are this size and I have a six-pack, then I'm going to think about that bitch. And you'll realize you don't give a shit about her anymore. That's just the way the world works.
What do you have to say with respect to guys who think that they should just exit the game and be done with this whole thing? And like they want to go their own way, and for whatever that means to those guys?
Well, it's a defeatist attitude, which is the firstly, it's the most feminine beta thing you can have in anything. It doesn't have to be about women. Having a defeatist attitude towards life is already probably why you ended up where you've ended up. Because if you were too much of a man to quit, you probably wouldn't be there to begin with. And that's not just about women. It's about anything. It's about fighting. It's about money. It's about anything. A defeatist attitude is never the right way. Secondly, you can always win the game. You can win the game because, yeah, hypergamy may be true and girls value certain things, but like I just said, I have guys who are bigger, stronger, richer than me messaging my girl. She doesn't leave because I am her man. And that's down to conditioning. And you can condition females to be that way. And yeah, you need to have multiple females. And yeah, you need to find a good one. And yeah, you need to have options. But you can definitely win this game. Any man can win this game. But you have to be prepared to go through, especially for some of the softer guys, a degree of heartbreak. So me and Tristan always laugh. We say, we go through a breakup a week.
And that's literally true. Guys talk about their breakup. I go through a breakup a week. I lose a girl a week. Is that the point now where it's just like, whatever, go. I don't care anymore at all. But for most dudes, because they haven't got the kind of sexual access I have, you're gonna have to be prepared to lose the girl because she wants to go Vegas. You're gonna have to be prepared to sit there and miss her and not message her. You have to be a man about it. You just have to stop being a pussy. If you stick to the rules of the game as a man, you can absolutely win. Nearly any man can. I'm not saying you're gonna have a beauty queen, but you'll have something that's loyal to you. She may be a fucking 5 in my book, but she's a 9 to you. So who gives a shit? You know, you're happy, whatever. The point is, but you have to be man enough about it. Most of the guys, MGTOW and betas, all they're trying to do is just alleviate heartache. They're such cowards. They're afraid of feeling sorry. Oh, they're afraid of missing her. I had one guy who messaged me. He's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I really miss my girl. I said, why'd you split up? Oh, she was talking to these guys. Da, da, da. It's like, why do you miss her? Oh, but you know, because she was my only girl. I was like, well, what you need to do is you don't need. He goes, he wanted her back. I said, you don't want her back because you know she's a shit girlfriend because she messages other guys. You just don't want to miss her anymore. It's not about wanting her back. You're just too much of a pussy to deal with the feeling of missing her. That's what the reality of it is. Most of these guys are in love with girls and they don't even want the girl. All they do is argue with the girl. They can't stand her. She's a dickhead and she's a cheater and she's a bimbo. But they're just too much of a pussy to feel like they miss someone. It's all a huge act of cowardice. I'm afraid to feel bad. If you're not afraid of heartbreak and you stick to your guns, you're going to have a fantastic life with females. If you're not afraid to say, sorry, not good enough for me, goodbye, and stick to it as a fucking man, you're going to do just fine. It's that is 85% of the game. But men are just too afraid to do it because they feel like they're not going to have another girl for a while. It allows them to get their dick wet, and that's what it is. And it's just cowardice, head to toe. So all the MGTOW guys, you're quitting the game without even trying. If you're really a man going his own way, and you're really focusing on yourself, and you're really, putting yourself first and upgrading your value as a man, you can. If you're doing that, then you should be fine with females. Just continue with your mission. Don't be compromising. Make sure you put your mission first. Treat her with respect, but don't take any disrespect. One of the biggest things I want to actually say now, because I don't want people to think, I know the way I come across is hyper aggressive. People think you have to be mean to girls. I'm never mean to girls. I'm nice. I'm nice to my girls. People have this idea that I'm walking around the house, I'm beating them up and shit. It's like yeah, I'm the complete opposite. I'm a super nice guy. I'm like, let's watch a movie or get some popcorn, let's have a party. I'm a super nice dude. I just won't tolerate disrespect on any level. You disrespect me, I stop talking to you. It's not about being an evil person. You can still be the nice guy. But when she steps to you, you have to remove all your attention. It's really that simple. There's nothing else to it. You haven't got to be a big evil man. And you can be a MGTOW, be going your own way and have that same philosophy. It really isn't that hard, but these guys are just too afraid to miss a girl. That's the biggest mistake. That's what all this comes down to. These dudes are too afraid of the heartbreak and they can't take it because they're pussy.
What did you do with the pain of the heartbreak?
I did the same thing I do if my heart wasn't broken. I got up, I went in the gym, I lifted a bunch of weights, I got in my fast car, I drove down the road looking sexy as fuck, bought a Starbucks, and made some money. It doesn't matter. How I feel has no bearing on how I live my life.
Ability to be vulnerable as men is not something that we're taught. Is actually, in fact, it's something that I think we're taught to not be vulnerable, to not be emotional, to not.
But Tay, you're not a big vulnerability guy, though,
no, he's not. I just want to talk about it.
But that discomfort that you just described has led to a massive positivity in your life.
Absolutely.
I can say the absolute same thing for fighting. I decided to go out and learn to fight to the level I learned to fight because I had a couple fights in school and I won them, but it was kind of close, and I was like, that was too close for comfort. And I thought, fuck it, I'm going to go learn to fight. And it's absolutely often discomfort and trauma and bad things that will motivate you to go and do the most amazing things. Like we said earlier, you have to take the negativity and use it in a positive manner. Like we said about stress, it can go in different directions. I'll tell you right now, if you were to say to me, Andrew, you have to make double the money you're currently making, what's the number one emotion you want to feel to do it? I'd say heartbreak.
Yeah.
Stress? Break my heart. Break my heart. I can't sleep. I'm furious. Break my heart and I'll make a fucking $1 billion. Take all the negativity and turn it into positivity. So that trauma and all those bad things that happen, you can be very, very positive things and give you a positive aspect on life if you approach it in the right way. Most people are told when you feel sad, sit at home, be sad. It's not your fault. You've got a disease. You're depressed. Be a bitch about it. I argue the opposite. I say when you feel sad, good. Take all that energy and convert it into something that's going to be a positive force for your life.
Would you say that even we're also taught to like stuff it away and not not actually think about it, not actually go through it, not actually process it.
Not embrace it and feel it. You should feel all of your emotions. If I feel sad, I embrace it and I feel it. I'll tell you right now, the largest monumental jumps in my life in terms of success is when I was pissed off or sad.
Yeah, I mean, bro, like I could tell you, like all the time I spent in the gym to build myself, I was using that stress, I was using that trauma to make myself better.
Completely.
And that's what made me who I am today.
Absolutely.
But
all the bad things that happen to you and make you feel in a bad way, some of those bad things that made me feel in a bad way were the most important energy sources for the most monumental jumps in my life. The biggest achievement.
Hygiene's clearly important. She made a very good point about being funny. You have to be entertaining. That's not just about in relationships, that's in life, isn't it? People like to spend time with people who entertain them. I think the biggest mistake men make as a whole now is, I understand everything she's saying about paying attention to a woman, and that she said that about spiritual connection. Women are very emotionally driven, so you have to make her feel happy and feel good to be around you, and that's what it's about. This is one of the key things. If she feels happy when she's with you, she's going to want to be with you. And if she feels sad when she's with you, then she's obviously not going to want to be. And I mean, this can translate, I could talk about this forever, but this can translate across relationships as a whole. I had a guy come to me once and say, I'm in a really bad state of mind, and every time I tell my girlfriend, she doesn't seem to care. And I was like, bro, if you're feeling depressed and all you do is talk depressive crap to your girl, she's going to leave because she doesn't want to hear it. It makes her depressed, and everyone's depressed, and then she's going to bail. And that's what she did. So be a positive, happy person. If you can't work that out on your own, then you shouldn't be with anyone else anyway.